Hey, everybody. Welcome to Uncle Howie's podcast. Tonight, we're going to be reviewing some of the basics. In every episode, we talk about three major core traits of those men who have decided to be better men. And hopefully, you're on that journey with us and you've declared that you are willing to do whatever it takes to be a better man. And so, our three basic tenets are to set goals, to declare your goals, and then to have accountability through mentorship. So you have to find a mentor, and you need a piece of paper you can write your goals down on, and then you need a few people that you can declare your goals to ask for help with accountability and prayer. If you're a spiritual person, I cannot recommend asking especially older people to pray for you. Some of the best decisions I've ever made have been asking a group of older women to pray for me for some very specific things, and to see those things transpire over and over was pretty amazing. So today we're going to start to narrow down our focus on what we call the 5 F's of goal setting. The first F is your family, then your finances, your fitness, your faith, and then fun. And if you take care of these 5 areas of your life, if you set goals in these 5 areas of your life and you make these a priority, you will find that you can measure your incremental improvement. Some people, some men especially, get frustrated when improvements don't come rapidly. And so, one of my things that I always do when I coach athletes, when I coach rugby players or boxers, when I was coaching young soldiers in the military, I would often say, we need to look for improvement. We need to strive to be better at our job, to be better at our measurable skills, but we cannot expect everything to happen in a miraculously fast paced way. Sometimes we have to be patient and mature through the process of, of cautiously and carefully waiting as we work towards our goals. So, the 5 F's of goal setting again are family, finance, fitness, faith, and fun. Those are the 5 areas we're going to talk about. And today we're going to really focus in on family. And so, there's nothing you can do to choose your family of origin. Who your mom, who your father is or was, is nothing that you can choose. But I think it's important to have some goals for those people. And maybe the first thing some of you thought of is, I hope that my family of origin gets justice for the bad things they did. I know that some of you come from very rough places, and so, this might not all apply to you, but I think for the average guy, most of us have at least one parent that we're close to, wanted to be close to, have some affection for. And so for me, as an adult, as a man, I always wanted to have enough money so that I could do nice things for my mother. And our relationship actually got better and better as she got older and older. And I remember taking her out on vacation, and we had a lot of fun together, and it was very special. And so we actually did that a few times. And once she told a waitress at a restaurant in Las Vegas, she said, "I have a good son, I have a bad son, and I have a fun son." And so I was beaming with pride to realize that she thought of me as her fun son. And that's not to say that she didn't think I was responsible, but she knew that I cared about her lifestyle and what she had and what she needed. And I really wish my mom was still here with us. But I think it's good to set goals. I've met young athletes who say, I want to play into the pros, and their first objective is to buy their mother a house. And so, most of us are never going to be in a place where we can just go pay cash for our mother to have a house. But one of the things you need to think of is, are you going to be the kind of son that puts your mother in an old folks home, a retirement home, or a medical facility? Or would you rather be able to afford to bring her into your home and have a nurse take care of her there, where she's around grandchildren and people that love her? And so, I'm not actually telling you what to do. I'm telling you to set goals. You figure out what's going to be best to achieve the level of manhood, the level of responsibility, the level of productivity that you want, and you write down your goals, declare them to someone, I think it's important if your goals involve other people, you might want to tell them, hey, hold me accountable for these goals. And then for your family of choice, the family of your own choosing, meaning that if you're married, your wife and your children, which I think would include your stepchildren. I treat my stepchildren uh, the same way that I treat my biological children. I don't want them to feel like they're in any way second class, but I chose their mother, and I want to be really good to all five of my children. And before we get to that step, you need to set goals. If you're not married already, what kind of a woman do you want to marry? And here's a few things that you should be thinking about. Number one is, what is it you want your wife to be responsible for? Do you want her to pay half of the bills? Do you want her to make enough money to pay for half of your housing and half of your vacations and half of all the medical care for you and your children? Or do you want your wife to stay home and live on whatever you can bring to the table and take care of your family as her first priority? I don't actually care which side of that debate you land on. What I care about is that you know yourself, you know what you want, and you put that in writing, and you ask people to hold you accountable to find the right woman for you. Because if you wind up in a lifelong, long term relationship with the wrong woman, and you haven't communicated these things and you haven't made it very clear what you expect from the beginning, it can be extremely difficult. It can be heartbreaking, to say the least. The second question you want to make your goals around before you wind up married to someone is, what sort of character do you want your spouse to have? Do you want to be married to someone that you met in a club who dates multiple men during her entire young adult life? Or do you want someone who was also looking for something serious and was holding out? I know I have friends that say they would only marry someone who was actually still a virgin, and I understand that is harder and harder to find. And really, it doesn't matter to me how you answer these questions. These are questions for you to answer for yourself. What sort of spouse do you want? What kind of character are you looking for? What kind of partnership do you expect to have? And I will tell you this, whatever the answer to these questions is, truthfully for you, you need to hold out for exactly what it is you really want. Do not settle in the department of who you're looking for to spend your life with. And then the third are other non negotiables. I know that some men would happily marry a woman that had children, and that other men say that they could only marry someone who has never had any children. And so, once again, I think both are fine. It really depends on what it is that you want. And so, if you haven't thought about setting goals for your family, whether it's how you're going to take care of your mom and your dad and your grandparents, if you get rich someday, how much of that is going to go towards your brothers and sisters? What are you going to do to support your family if you're in the position to do so? I think those are things you should write down and be very clear about. And then secondarily, the family of your choosing, make sure that you choose a partner or a spouse that's going to complement who you really are. If you're a gangster and you like to live on the edge, you are a high risk taker, you want to be a special forces soldier or a Navy SEAL, you're just, that you're that crazy type of person that likes to jump off of cliffs and skydive and scuba dive, and you're just a big risk taking person, you may not want to marry someone who's afraid to be around high risks. You may need to make it your written goal for your family of choosing that you could only marry someone who's also willing to take big risks, which of course narrows down the pool of how many women are available that fit that criteria. There are some genuinely tough, black belt women who will go skydiving with you, but there's not a lot. And so you have to know what you're looking for and put it in writing. Ask for some accountability, maybe some guidance from a mentor, and then you need to not settle for anything less than that which is the desire of your heart. And then one day, I hope that you have the opportunity to have children of your own, whether that's biological children or stepchildren, or maybe you'll have foster kids like I did, or perhaps you will adopt some children. But I hope you have the opportunity to raise children. And when you do, um, perhaps one of the goals that you will have for your children would be that they're well disciplined. And I don't mean abused. I don't mean that they're flinching every time you come in the room or they're scared of your voice. I just mean that they know to take your voice seriously and they're obedient and they're well rewarded when a job is well done, and that they're disciplined within reason when they don't do what you expect them to do. The second set of goals that you might want to have for your children, even before you may meet their mother, is education. Do you want your children to go through college? Are you going to pay for that college? Do you want them to just go to the junior college or the local school that's affordable and they can live at home with you while they do that? Or are you willing to pay for them to go to a school that's not in your city so that they can get away from their mommy and daddy and have some time to grow up, living with their peers? Um, do you want them to go to college and pay for it themselves, perhaps through the GI Bill or joining the military? And once again, I'm not telling you what to decide. I'm telling you that if you want to be happy long term, you need to learn these 5 F's and you need to write your goals down and you need some accountability in these 5 areas. And so the last is inheritance. If you're going to have children, the Bible is very clear that a righteous man leaves an inheritance for his children and his children's children. And so even though I could be fully retired now, I still work some and I still invest some. And I'm actually about to start a company. It will not take all of my time. I'm still semi-retired, but I'm starting a company so that I can employ some people here locally where I live in Asia, and also so that I can leave a better and bigger inheritance for my 4 biological children and my stepdaughter, because I really care about them. And whether or not we're getting along, whether or not they respect me and love me, whether or not they want to chat all the time, I'm still their dad. And so they would have to really choose to not be a part of my estate. And they might choose. They might tell me they don't want anything from me, which is, if let's say 2 of my 5 kids decide they don't want anything when I pass away, that just leaves more in the estate for the other 3 kids. And that is their choice. I would honor that. But I have a goal where I want to leave a certain amount for each one of my 5 children.
The audio malfunctioned in this part of the video. Thanks for your understanding. Stay tuned for the next video, and don't forget to subscribe to Uncle Howie Podcast.